Hello, my name is Ajipal Singh. Today I'm gonna give the presentation on the topic the impact of social media on self-esteem and body image in adolescent. I'm giving the presentation for the class Psychology 217 and my professor is Benjamin Fong. So let's hop in the presentation. Before starting with the introduction, I would like to give you an overview of the topic. So, the social media, as we all know, social media has become an integral part of the life of adolescent, shaping how they perceive themselves and others. While social media offers many benefits such as connectivity and self-expression, it also has a negative impact on self-esteem and body image. One of the most significant effect of the social media on self-esteem I'm sorry. One of the most significant effect of the social media on adolescent is the constant exposure to curated and often unrealistic portrayals of beauty and success. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram are filled with images of flawless body, luxurious lifestyles, and seemingly perfectly relationship. Adolescents, already in the stage of self-discovery and identity formation, may compare themselves to these ideals and feel inadequate. Suppose if someone is following Travis Scott, and Travis Scott is posting posting the story of Bentley, and the follower suppose if I'm following the Travis Scott and Travis Scott is uploading the video or the image of Bentley on his social media handles such as on Instagram story, so then obviously I'm gonna think like when I'm gonna get this Bentley. Then I'm not gonna think about my mindset. I'm gonna think about the mindset of Travis Scott. So it is a major negative influence on on adolescent because of social media. So, body image is also heavily influenced by social media. Adolescents are bombarded with image of thin, toned bodies, which can contribute to body dissatisfaction and unhealthy behavior like extreme dieting or excessive exercise. If I'm suppose I'm like a big guy, right? I'm a fatty guy, and I'm watching Travis Scott, and I'm following Travis Scott. Suppose I'm following Travis Scott, then obviously I wanted to him. I wanted to just like him, so I started following him, his clothes, his body, and everything. Then, if I'm a fat guy, then I have to lose weight to look like a Travis Scott. So then I'll be on excessive diet, do over exercise that can affect both mentally and physically on my body. So let's hop into the main introduction of the research. So introduction, there you go. So the development of communication technologies has increased the volume through which people can communicate and access to wide range of information. The access could eventually influence how people view society, primarily through images and other popular culture media on social networks. Adolescents as a group are continuously learning and often engage in identity conflicts. Social media has been alleged to influence the behavior attitude of adolescent. Adolescent to idolize a version of self media exposes them to the risk of damaging their self-esteem. It is therefore assumed thus that social media influence how adolescents value and perceive themselves. The purpose of this research is to perform a longitudinal study examining the connection between teenagers self-esteem and social media. So the purpose of this research, that the research that I made and submitted on the canvas, um, on in my draft, in my proposal. It's research about that I did in my proposal. So that are the sub points, and I already explained it briefly. So let's move to the next slide, and the topic of the next slide is rational. So adolescent is a critical stage in human growth where conflict with the self identities and perception often exist. Self-esteem varies and changes during adolescence, and it is a crucial to establish the factor contributing to self-esteem insustainability and sustainability within the age group. Adolescent and an idealization of social media content contribute to unhealthy perception of self and lead to deterioration of self-esteem among youth. As a measure of health among adults, and it is important to recognize how using social media over time affects and one sense of a self as a way of helping to develop effective intervention and healthy sports system. So it was the rational. So let's move to the next slide, that is hypothesis. So so there is a correlation between increased exposure to social media, lower self-esteem, and negative perception of the self within adolescent over time. This study also project that other variables like the kind of content, like what kind of the content they are watching on social media, amount of the time invested in social media, and participation in related activities would influence the correlation between teenager social media use and self-esteem. So that was the hypothesis. Let's move to next slide, that is objective. Well, there are three objectives that are showing on screen, and I'm gonna explain them briefly. So, under the hypothesis, this study seeks to evaluate the connection between the social media consumption and self-esteem or perception of the body images in adolescent. Explore the potential contributing factors such as the type of content and duration spent on social media, and examine the longitudinal changes in the self-esteem concerning social media use and exposure. So the three objective as a subpoint. The first one is evaluate the connection between social media consumption and self-esteem of the body, self-esteem or body image perception. The second objective is explore contributing factors like content type and duration of social media use. The third one is examine longitudinal change in the self-esteem related to social media use, like they're gonna in the by the second objective, they're gonna explore the contributing factor which effect are affecting, like such as content type and duration of social media use, like how often they are using and the time range of the usage. And with that point they're gonna make a result through the through the longitudinal change. They're gonna examine the longitudinal change in self-esteem related to social media use. So let's move to the next slide, that is method. So as I said, the methodology gonna be perspective longitudinal research design. The sample size is gonna be 50 participants. I already discussed about this when we talk about the minors and all. So the study will first conduct a Rosenberg self-esteem scale, that is RSES, on the participant who will answer question regarding their perception. This will present a baseline for the research. When the participants gonna give the answer, it's gonna make a baseline for the researcher uh, to 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 say like to start a research. Social media usage and exposure will be measured through self-report surveys and digital tracking of the individual participant. Assessments will be conducted to follow up on their study progress. This assessment will be conducted at 6 months within the 18 month to track changes in self-esteem. Oh, that was a participant. Sorry. Oh, yeah. So the procedure gonna be same, and there is a data analysis. The data analysis is correlation statistical analysis will identify the strength and the path of the interaction between social media usage and self-esteem. Regression data will allow the predictive analysis between increased social media usage and low self-esteem in adolescents. Meditation data will examine external, sorry, not internal, external factors contributing to lower self-esteem and social media use. So the procedure we already discussed about the RSEES, as it's going to be set up as a baseline. We already talked about the social media use and exposure. There be in procedure measure of the social media usage, like the time usage and exposure through surveys and digital tracking. There will be follow-up assessment at 6 months to track change in self-esteem. So let's move to the next slide, that is ethical consideration. So the ethical consideration is there will be informed consent will be obtained. There will be informed consent will be obtained from the participant and their legal guardians, given that study involves minor. It means like the studies in the studies there will be minor also. So in respect to that, there will be informed consent from the legal guardians or the parents of the participants, that yes, they are be in the study, and if something comes up, there is a consent. The participants will remain anonymous through the study. The information of the participant, like their personal information or the information through the research, gonna be anonymous. There will be no sharing of the information. There will be health measures, health measure including access to the doctors will provided to minimize potential distress or harm. That can be like the health measures which include the availability and access. There will be more availability and access to the doctors will be taken to minimize the potential distress or harm that could be happen during the research. So the next slide is about the references. Here are my the references from which I got the information about the study. So you guys can have a look at that too. And that's the next page for the reference. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for your time investing in this presentation. Thank you so much, classmate. Thank you so much, professor, to believing in me, and for your time. I know that's all. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Stay safe.